My granddaughter will be sitting her GCSE exams in June, so I wrote this little booklet for her, amongst other booklets. This is 50 questions from former past examinations for the GCSE Maths higher level. In each of these questions, I have given a step-by-step solution, but I've left quite a few of them where the reader can do the bit of maths at the end, a bit of calculations, but the step-by-step solutions are still there, so that it should be interesting for anyone doing their GCSE Maths higher this year. If you want to copy any of these questions, you could use the normal copy function, but that means you can only get one question at a time on the clipboard. If you use the Windows snip function, which is Shift Windows key S, which I'll show you now, Shift Windows key S, you can then highlight the area you want to copy, release the button, and it's copied to the clipboard. You can do this 25 times, and those 25 questions will be copied to the clipboard if you want to do 25, of course. And then to call them back from the clipboard, you just use Win key V. And that gives you the whole clipboard, and you can select which questions you want to copy onto maybe Word, or something else. So to copy the question, you use Shift Windows key S, and to copy it from the clipboard to Word, you use Windows key V. For each of these questions, I'll leave them on the screen for about 10, 15 seconds or more. You can either just look at them or copy them down, whatever you want to do. But there are 50 questions. So I'll leave this one on for 10 seconds, and then I'll go on to each page, and I'll leave each page on for 10 seconds. There are some questions in here which are extremely difficult and would probably only be attempted by the top class of students. But in any case, you probably realise already that marks are given for any bit of work you do. In each of these, I've shown what's necessary to do the work, but in most questions, you don't need to show you working unless it asks you. Like in this question here, it says show all your working. So you would have to do that if it asks you to do. This is question 1. Question 2. Question 3. The question is fairly long, but the answer is fairly short. Again, you can copy it using Shift Win key S if you want to. And sometimes the questions are not easy to see in 20 seconds. So you might want to copy them down to do them later. Question 3 is a fairly short question. as you can see, I've just left the actual calculations to the reader, although I'll show each step. This is a straightforward question. Another one where the answer the answer is quite small. The question looks long, but the answer is quite small. In the summary, I've given the answer at the bottom. I'll leave this on a bit longer for you to look at it. Of course, you can just use the pause function, but that tends to put a line across the bottom where you can't always see the answer. Probably if you want to look at the question in more detail, it's probably best to use the snip function. Shift, Win key, S. I've drawn the actual diagram again, but in practice you could use the diagram on the exam paper rather than drawing another diagram. And it doesn't say show all your working. So you could just put the answers down, 8 plus 16 plus 8 and X plus 8, Y plus 8 and so on. You don't need to put this equilateral triangle. We know that, but you don't need to say that unless you want to. On this question, you have to draw the graph. Put a few points down there but you need to put some more points in. You need to fill in the table, then put the rest of the points in on the graph, draw the graph, and then look for the solution for x. This one you might need to copy really, so you can do it on a without waiting around. As I said, you could actually pause if you want to just pause the video and look at it. This question actually asks to give a reason. So you need to give some reason why AB is 32 and why AB is whatever it may be. Some of the answers for the questions are quite short. Of course, they only get small marks then, but there are some questions we'll see soon which are quite difficult, and as you'll see, probably only attempted by the ones who are really brave. Now, this particular question is really difficult. I think maybe most people wouldn't really attempt it, but it is difficult. Only not much knowledge required, but how to solve it. That's the way. It tells you, well, it doesn't tell you this. I put these down. What you need to know: the area of the circle, the area of a sector, the area of a triangle. and then you can go through the working out. This is the first page of the question. The actual answer now is on the next page. This is one we might want to copy using the Shift Win key S, because here's the working. You need to know quite a bit for this question, but if you get bits of it right, you do get marks. It must, I can't remember what the marks were for this. It must have been quite a lot of marks for this question. It's very tricky. I think maybe the actual answer has been snipped off the bottom here, but you can work it out from the bottom, the area of the back shaded portion. If you work that out, you get the answer in terms of pi and √3. So again, I said this is one where you probably feel, if you're interested in this sort of question, you would want to copy it, look at it in some detail. As you can see, I've left all the actual calculations to you to do, but all the information is there. I've given the step-by-step solution, but the figures need filling in. This is another quite difficult question. The dotted line I put that in only gave you the Venn diagram without the dotted lines. So I put the dotted lines in, and I've also put the 4 to 3 on the bottom. It's not a long answer, but there are quite a lot of bits you need to know. It doesn't say show all your working, but I tried to put the working down. Again, this is one where you might want to copy if you're interested in this sort of question. It's a typical sort of question you get in the probability. So you have to draw the diagram first, of course, and show all your working. I've done one of them. 0.7 times 0.8 times 0.8. You can do the other 4 or the other 3 yourself. Again, this was one where you might want to copy it if you want to do this question to complete information. I've done part of it, and you need to do the rest. These questions are all from past papers for the last 6 or 7 years, probably, and all from the Maths Higher. I tried to put questions to cover everything you might see. Here we have some more combinations here. First of all, remember here, if it takes one card from the 9, there's only 8 cards left then to choose from. And then there's only 7 cards left to choose from. This is a question which looks difficult, but it's not really difficult. You need to know that the volume is the area of the end times the height. And of course, you need to know the formulas for the area of an isosceles triangle. You're not given formulas in this paper. I think in some other papers, some formulas are given. A few formulas are given, but not all of them. So it's best to revise the formulas before you go in for the exam. Again, there's not much in here really. You need to know the area of a sector. And 45 degrees is 1/8 of 360, so it's 1/8 the area of a circle. And then it's just a bit of algebra. It's quite tricky algebra, really. but it's just tedious. I'll leave it on a bit longer to look at, but as I said, you can always pause the page, or you can copy it using the Shift Win key S function. There's a bit more to the answer than is on there. You need to uh, find the equation and then solve it for x. Again, so it's worth a few marks, this question. This is not a difficult question, so it's not worth too many marks. It doesn't tell you, see, that the internal angle of a polygon is n minus 2 times 180. That's something you need to know if you want to do this question. Another probability question here. The question is inside the black box. I actually put it down again at the bottom here, but you don't need to reproduce the diagram, you just put the answers on the actual question paper. That point P is a point on the circle. In this question, they do give you the formulas for the volume of a cone and the curved surface area of a cone. Again, if you wanted to try this question, you would probably have to copy it out first of all. I think the answer's been clipped off again at the bottom. This question asks you to give reasons for each stage you're working. So I put the reasons down there: a tangent to a circle, angles to a chord are equal, angles that up to 180, and angles on a straight line add up to 180. So if it asks for the reasons, you must put the reasons down, otherwise you lose marks. Again, I've drawn the diagram out again. You don't need to do that. You can put all your drawing on the diagram itself. There's usually at least one third question in the paper. Not worth a lot of marks, but all marks count. I think that should be a plus sign rather than an equal sign. these sort of questions rely on you knowing the circle theorems. For Ruby, I produced a booklet for her with all the circuit theorems in them. I also produced a booklet for probability for her. It would probably be better if I put the actual marks you could get on each question, because some questions are worth quite a bit more than others. It's another third question. And I put a hint down there. You don't need to use that hint, but it does make it easier if you do. If you do that, it gets rid of the surge signs on the denominator. This question says you must give reasons for each stage you're working, which I have done. If you don't, if it asks to give you working and you don't give you working, then you lose marks. Again, I've drawn the diagram again out at the bottom, but you wouldn't need to do that. You could put all your figures on the actual question. the final question. And again, I've put down the question at the bottom and added the extra information on there. We do that on the actual diagram on the question to save money, save time. Right, those are the 50 questions. As I said, you probably won't be able to do them on the screen quickly, so you would either have to pause and look at it or copy them out separately on the clipboard. You can copy 25 questions at a time to the clipboard and then transfer them onto whatever, a Word, maybe a Word sheet. Just remember that to copy the page, you need to use Shift Windows key S, and to paste from the clipboard, you need to use Windows key V to find the questions. I hope that's useful to anyone studying for their GCSE Maths higher paper this year. I'm sure that there must be some errors somewhere in these 50 questions, although I've been through it several times. There must be, I'm sure anyone finds it will be very happy to tell me where I've gone wrong. Thank you.